My left hand starts to get cold. I got bit by a dog. Have you ever had a day that just didn't start out right? A day from hell. Well, this happened to me last week, and I want to share the story with you because something pretty remarkable happened, and it turned everything around, and I think this is something that everyone can do. Hi everyone, my name is Ben, and I am Runner Guy with a Sign, a crazy guy with a crazy idea to hold this sign high above my head and run all around town. I started this channel because I felt inspired to share my message of positivity with as many people as possible, and 100% of any money this channel ever makes goes straight to charity. You heard me right, none of the money goes to myself. This is all for charity, and when you subscribe, you're doing 100% good and you're helping this message grow to everyone out there that needs it. Alright, so let me tell you about my day from hell. So if you didn't know, I run a few times a week, and every single time I run, I hold the sign. And that can cause some additional issues. And the ones that I ran into that really caused my day to go wrong really have to do with the winter. So I live in Utah and it's very cold some days, especially in February. So last week when I went running, it was 11 degrees. And holding a sign causes other issues because when you hold it up, you have to have your hand like this, and your fingers are kind of exposed to the wind. When you normally run, you can make more of a fist. You can get your hands, bunched up and keep that warmth in, and you're okay. With that sign, you can't do that. And so what I've had to do is wear heated gloves. And I went through quite a process to find the right heated gloves that fit, that worked. But I have some really nice heated gloves that I've been using, and they've been working great. I went running in 0-degree weather. I've been running in 20 degree, 10 degrees. No worries. But this particular run, I decided to change things up, and I wanted to go out and drive somewhere and then run all the way home. And I do that because it kind of breaks up the monotony of just running the same route and going the same place, and want to get out to more people, and I want other people to see the sign. I drove about 6 miles away from my house to the high school that my kids go to, and actually dropped my kid off, drove over to part of the parking lot, and then started to look around and gather my gear. And when I started gathering my gear and putting it on, I grabbed my heated gloves, my trusted heated gloves. And I ran into an issue because as soon as I put my right glove on and held down the button to turn it on, it came on just fine. But I sat there for a while getting my other stuff and realized, you know what? This isn't heated at all. This glove is not working whatsoever. So I tried to troubleshoot. Is the battery not connected? Tried to, take it off, see what was going on, hit it a couple of times just like you would, with something that's not working. And no heat. And so I thought, crap, this is going to be hard. I'm going to be outside in frigid cold. One of my hands is going to freeze. What do? Do I cancel? Drive home? Do I just drive home and wait a while and come and run? And it gets really hard because I have a full-time job. I have other things going on. Can't always just wait. So I thought, no, you know what? I'm gonna hunker down and I'm just gonna do it, and I'm gonna figure it out. Well, it didn't take long before my fingers started going numb. So I went over to the street, started running with the sign. This is by a high school. Kids are driving into school. Lots of cars, so I had to hold that sign up for quite a while without a break. And a couple minutes in, my fingers started to hurt, and it was quick. And I thought, man, I'm in trouble. I've got to do something about this. What can I do? I said, I'm just going to go a little bit further. I know it hurts. I know they're numb. I'm just going to figure it out. I'm going to go up here, and if it gets really bad, I'll stop and try to warm them up. Well, I did stop about 5 minutes in, and thought, okay, you know what? It's not too bad. I'm going to go a little bit further. About 5 minutes later, up the hill, it was getting way worse. So I ran off to the side of the road, took my gloves off, warmed up my fingers as best as I could, and then thought, you know what? I can switch gloves. So I'll take my left glove, put it on my right hand, and that'll work. I'll get some warmth on that one. Then if my left hand gets cold, I can switch. Well, it seemed to work pretty well. It wasn't the easiest getting a glove on the wrong hand, but it warmed up my hand and I thought I can keep going. Here I am running with the gloves on the wrong hands, and of course my left hand starts to get cold, and eventually is very, very cold, and eventually is hurting, and eventually I have to run off to the side of the road again, and I have to switch gloves again. So I switch again, my hand's feeling better, I'm running again, now my right hand's getting cold again, right? And at this point, I'm about 3 miles in, I get to the top of the hill, and then I can start going downhill, and I thought, man, I don't know if I'm gonna last much longer. Like, do I call my wife and have her come pick me up? Like, what am I gonna do? I've got to keep my hands warm. And then just when I had that thought, I come around the corner, and here comes the sun. I can see the sun right around the corner. All right, so I run around the corner, get into the sun, warms everything up a few degrees. Doesn't seem like that would make much of a difference, but when it's 11 degrees, 3 degrees make a huge difference. So when I got into the sun, I was warmer, and by that time I had warmed up because I been running straight up the hill. Got to a point where, you know what, my hands actually feel well enough, I can run. So I was super relieved, super excited that I didn't have to freeze my hands anymore, and just had a few more miles to get home, and I could get in a nice warm shower and see if my fingers were still there. At this point, I was really grateful and thinking, okay, I'm almost done. I'm almost in that shower. And I ran a route, and this is a route I go all the time. Probably the most common route that I run, and I've been running for years. And it's in Littlemore, it's off the roads, a little rural. And the lots over there are like 5-6 acres, so people have, giant yards, and they have barns and things like that. Great people over there. But there's also dogs. There's also dogs on the loose from time to time. Now, I've never gotten bit by a dog before, but I got bit by a dog. I was coming up on a house that I always run past, and there I see some dogs off in the distance, and sometimes they bark at me, and there's kind of a ravine between them and me. But this time, one of the dogs runs around the ravine, runs down the driveway, and comes up to the end of the driveway. So right as I'm coming to the end of the driveway, the dog is waiting right here, and not doing anything at that point, not barking, not being aggressive or anything. So I look at the dog and say, hey pup, and as soon as I run past, that dog runs after me, right? So immediately I turn around, and as soon as you usually turn around with a dog, the dog will, is not as brave. So the dog sits there and barks, whatever, right? So I turn around thinking, okay, I'm good, I'm kind of off the property now, I'll just keep going this way. Well, I don't turn around, and I should have, because the dog runs up and it bites my ankle. I was really surprised, but it wasn't the kind of bite where it's gonna leave a mark. It did hurt, it did surprise me, it kind of bit onto my ankle and then let go as my leg went back. And I kind of yelled out like, hey, right? And dog ran off. I was still thinking like, man, that hurt, what happened, checked it out. Wasn't really too much of anything to worry about, right? It didn't break the skin, there's no blood, but it just hurt. So I thought, man, my luck. My luck today. Here I almost freeze my fingers off on both hands. I'm feeling super grateful. I get bit by a dog. It's never happened to me before. I've been in situations where I've been out, going door to door and doing things, chased by dogs all the time, never gotten bit, but I got bit that day. So at this point I'm thinking, okay, I just want this run to be over. I know I've probably done some good, and hopefully somebody's seen me and it's brightened their day, but man, I'm getting beat up here. I just want to be done. So I get home, I walk up to the house, feeling so grateful again. There's the house. I'll just go inside and get in the shower. And so I walk up to the house and I go to open the door, and the handle won't move. And the reason for that is because it's locked. Now our door has kind of, a deadbolt and a handle. So the handle is only locked at night usually, and the deadbolt is usually locked all the time, and it has a smart lock on it so that you can put your fingerprint on it and open the door. Well, that one's usually locked, but the bottom one almost never is. And the reason that the bottom one was locked is because my son didn't leave the house out the front door because he didn't take the bus because I drove him. So I caused this problem. And I thought, okay, my other son is home, my wife is home, someone's got to be able to let me in. I call my wife, And it rings a couple of times. I'm thinking, okay, it shouldn't be an issue. She always answers her phone. I know she's home. Right? If she doesn't answer, I can get to her. Well, she doesn't answer. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe, you know what, she's probably in the shower. I have some funny timing. It's an inside joke with my wife. Every time I go to shower, different times of the day, she's always trying to shower. So I thought, oh, it's just my luck, right? I'm trying to get in the house, she's in the shower, but not a big deal. My son's home, so I'm texting my son, hey, come let me in, right? No response. So at this point, I'm thinking, man, my luck's got to change here. My luck's got to change. But you know what? We have a garage door with a code, with a panel that you put in a code. And it has worked every single time. I have never had a garage door that hasn't worked. So I go over there, and of course, as you can probably imagine, it doesn't work. I put in the code 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Doesn't work. So at this point, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what is going on? How am I can't even get in the house. How am I going to get in that nice shower? How am I going to turn this day around? So I go around to the back of the house, and this is another funny thing. We have a sliding door, and throughout the day, the kids let the dogs out to go to the bathroom. It's always unlocked, and then I lock it, right? I'm always seeing it, oh, and I lock it. It's open, I lock it. This happens all the time. So I'm thinking, you know what? Someone let the dogs out today. It's got to be open. Well, I go over there, and it's locked, of course. So I can't get in the sliding door either. I knock on the sliding door. I don't see anybody. I don't hear anybody. And so I start walking around back to the front of the house. Now, finally, my son was trying to catch me going from the front door to the back door, but he found me, let me in, got inside, and I was so glad that that run was over. Here is the important part. And here's the intentional thing that I did to see if I could turn my luck around or at least change my attitude. I made a conscious decision that I was going to laugh at myself. I spent a couple of minutes saying to myself, this is funny. This is going to be a funny story later. And said that over and over in my head. And then eventually kind of quelled my frustration, right? Made me feel a lot better and began to kind of laugh at myself. After freezing off my fingers, after being bit by a dog, and after being locked out of the house, I could have done two things. I could have stayed frustrated. I could have said, bullcrap, stuff like this, it's ruined my day. Could have taken that attitude throughout the rest of my day. I'm sure I would have had an even crappier day. But because I made the decision to try and laugh about it, I was able to pretty quickly turn that around, and I felt great. I felt after that like I could do anything. Not only did I run over 6.5 miles, I survived frostbite, I survived a dog bite, and I figured out a way to get into the house despite everything being against me, keeping me out. Everything that doesn't happen happened to keep me out. There's a reason I run early in the morning when I can. And it's because no matter how hard it is, or what happens, or whatever I felt like, if I can get that done first thing and early, I feel like the rest of the day, I'm invincible. I feel like I can conquer any task. I feel like nothing, no matter how far it goes wrong, I can't handle. It is one of my amazing little secrets that I've noticed over the years that allows me to feel better and to consciously change how I feel about crappy situations. It's not easy, and it's something that you have to work on, but I can guarantee you that if you consciously make a decision to tell yourself that a situation, although frustrating, is funny, not a big deal, and you buy into that, your mind will change and your mood will change, and anything is possible for you. Hey, and you know what? I just remembered one more funny thing. Because it was so cold and it was such a good distance, every time you breathe, if you have a beard, you get your condensation of that moisture all over your face. And when it's 11 degrees, it freezes. And so when I got done with my run, I looked like this. My mouth is literally numb, where it was like, I I'm not drunk. I'm just trying to get in the house. You probably all think I'm crazy. Why would I go out and do this? Why would I go out, freeze myself, risk all these things happening? And the answer to that is simple. I've been so inspired to run with that sign, and I've had so much positive feedback. I've been touched so many times to my soul that I know that no matter what happens, I'll be able to go out and do it. And I'm doing that, and I'm getting impressed upon to do that because people need it. We all need it. And it's a life mission for me. So I'm gonna freeze my mouth, freeze my fingers, and wait out the winter, and wait till it gets warm, because I know it's gonna make a difference in at least one person's life, and hopefully more. And I'll never stop. So I was glad to be done with that situation, but there's one more major thing that why this is so important to me, and why that whole experience, why I'm telling you this story, why I chose to make a video about it. A week ago today was when I ran that crazy dog-bitten, frostbitten run. And a week ago today was that day I decided that I'm gonna think this is funny, I'm gonna move on and change my attitude, so the rest of the day I had that awesome feeling. And because I had that awesome feeling, I sat down and had the courage and the confidence to record the first video for this YouTube channel. And that's quite an accomplishment because I am not comfortable sitting in front of a camera. I am not comfortable in this format yet. This is something that I'm trying to get used to, and it's something that it's easy to, well, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it the next day, I'll do this. If I hadn't had that crazy experience and gone through what I did, I don't think I would have recorded it that day. So I'm so grateful for that crappy experience, which turned into a good experience, which turned into recording my first video. Because now I've hopefully started something that will benefit even more people and will bless even more lives. And of course, probably above all, with all these circumstances, allows me to grow a lot. And if you want to help push this goodness out to the world, there's two things you can do. Give the like button a hug and subscribe. I thank you for your support. You are the most beautiful person in the world. And please believe me, especially because I have the sign to prove it. I believe in you.